Hey everybody, so today I'm here to give you guys an ovulation test progression video along with just some information about ovulation tests. I had a ton of questions over on my Instagram whenever I spoke about trying to conceive, like what ones I use, how to tell if it's negative or positive, how everything about them works. So I thought I would just make this video and kind of show you guys. So what I'm going to talk about first is just some of the basics I think would be very helpful for you to know. I know the very first time I ever took ovulation tests was when I was trying to conceive with Sophie, and I had no idea what I was doing, and they did not help whatsoever because I didn't know what I was doing. And after this, I'm going to show you a progression of my tests from this last cycle. I'm going to show you both fresh every single day when I took the tests. I'm going to be telling you if it's negative or positive. And then at the end of all that, I also have just an overview of all the dried strips. So what is an ovulation test? Well, it can also be called an OPK for short. I might use that throughout the video. That stands for Ovulation Prediction Kit, but I just also call them ovulation tests. But basically, it's a little strip, or some, I guess, do come in actual test form, like, you know, a pregnancy test where it has the plastic handle and everything. But you can get them very cheaply on Amazon, and they're just tiny little strips. And then you dip them into your urine, and they are detecting a hormone. Now, I'm going to display that hormone across the bottom here because if I try to pronounce it, I'll just butcher it. But this hormone surges right before you ovulate. This surge happens about 24 to 48 hours before you're actually going to ovulate. So it just gives you a nice heads up. So if you do get a positive test, it's not saying, oh my gosh, you're ovulating right now. It's saying, give it a minute, you're very, very close. Now about that LH surge, I did want to say that it can present differently in every single woman. You know, some people have a gradual buildup, like meaning you can see the test gradually get darker before they get positive, and other people will get stark negatives, and then out of nowhere like that, they'll get a positive. Everybody's different. Also, for how long your surge lasts, it will be different. Some people, they can get about 3-4 tests that will be positive before it gradually goes down. There's other people, like myself, I take one test, and by the next one I take, it's gone. It just really depends. There's no wrong or right answer here. It's going to be very different. So don't be alarmed if you see other people taking tests that look different from yours, because it's completely normal. Now, for the ovulation test to be positive, both of the lines on the test need to be as dark as each other, or your test line needs to be darker than your control line. And this is where I think a lot of people get confused. I know that's where I got confused. I, of course, didn't read any directions. I didn't do any research about ovulation tests. I just knew that they were supposed to tell me when I was going to ovulate, and I would take them and there'd be kind of a faint line, so I thought it was positive. It's not like a pregnancy test. Both the lines have to be the same color, or the test line has to be darker than the control line. That's how it works with ovulation tests. And then lastly, I did want to mention that OPKs do not work for everybody, especially women who suffer from different diseases and illnesses that affect their hormone levels. It may not be a right way to track your ovulation. It's just not going to be super reliable because your hormones are going to be different. You might have different levels, like I said. You know, whatever you might be struggling with, like women with PCOS, they can get false readings of ovulation tests just because of what their bodies are doing. So OPKs don't work for everybody. I would have a talk with your OBGYN, your doctor, whatever, you know, make sure that you're not suffering from any of those. And, you know, if you're not, then they can be a semi-reliable way, but just know that there is no for sure fire way, unless you have an ultrasound machine or some kind of scope to watch you ovulate, to know 100% without doubt that you have ovulated. So it is tricky, but for a lot of people, these are helpful. I also wanted to say, do not let these become an obsession. It's a very slippery slope with these things. They can be very useful, but at the same time, you get that kind of like obsessive of like, okay, well, I need to take a test and it needs to be this color today because, you know what I'm saying? It can get out of hand. So try not to let it get there. It's hard. I'm not going to sit here and say that's an easy thing to do, because obviously you're taking these because you are very much wanting a child. So I understand that, but I just know that I had a little bit of an unhealthy relationship with them, and I just want to put that out there. So I have a 29 average day cycle. I ovulate between cycle day 15 to 19, although, like I said, I have ovulated much later than even those. And I start testing on cycle day 12. Now, I'm going to link you to an article about gauging when you should be taking ovulation tests. Now, keep in mind, you are going to be taking these several times over a course of, really depends how long your cycles and stuff are. But for me, I'm taking them for about a week, give or take. And because of that, I find it most affordable to buy them off of Amazon. I will link the ones that I use down below. They have never given me crap. They're reliable. I like them personally. I've tried a few different brands off of there. So I'll link those, but just keep that in mind because I do test several times a day. I go through about 20-ish tests, give or take, with a single cycle. So it's a good idea to maybe stock up with the cheap ones off of Amazon. And I also wanted to tell you guys when I test. I test once in the early afternoon and once more later in the afternoon. If I can help it, I go about 5 to 6 hours between them. You do not have to worry about holding your pee to take this test. As long as there's some color to your urine, you're going to be fine. Holding your urine is not a good thing. It could lead to infections. So just try to make sure there's some color in your pee and you'll be fine. Typically what I like to do is I feed my kids breakfast, and after they're done, I go to the kitchen and I get myself breakfast, and with that I drink a whole bottle of water, and then a couple hours whenever I have to go, that's when I first test, and then again with either lunch or dinner, whatever I decide. That's what I try to do, just because I try to drink during those meals, so why not take advantage of that whenever I finally have to go to the bathroom. So on to these ovulation tests. Like I said, I'm going to be showing you when I freshly took them within the window of time I was supposed to look at them and read them for the result, and I will have afterwards an overview of all of them dried. Now, it's very important that you look at your ovulation test in the window of time, whatever your specific brand says to look at it. If it says look at it within 3 minutes, don't look at it 5 minutes, because that's not what the rules are. And that might sound silly, but I have dried tests that look like they're positive, but in the window of time they were negative. So it's just very important that you try and do that. That's why I wanted to give you guys both of these. But here are my fresh ovulation tests from this past cycle. Cycle day 12, first test. Cycle day 13, test number 1, negative. Cycle day 13, test number 2, negative. Cycle day 14, test number 1, negative. Cycle day 14, test number 2, negative. Cycle day 15, test number 1, negative. Cycle day 15, test number 2, negative. Cycle day 16, test number 1, negative. Cycle day 16, test number 2, negative. Cycle day 16, test number 3, negative. Cycle day 17, test number 1, positive. Cycle day 17, test number 2, positive. Cycle day 18, test number 1, positive. Cycle day 18, test number 2, positive. Cycle day 18, test number 3, negative. Cycle day 19, final test, negative. So that is the progression of my fresh ovulation test. Now, I don't know if you noticed versus what I said earlier, but typically I have a very quick surge that ends even quicker, and this month was very different. I had a surge for a few different tests that were positive, and that was just crazy to me because I've never experienced that before. Like I said, nothing wrong with that. It's gonna vary, it's all right, but I just thought that was interesting because I've never had that before. But now I'm going to show you an overview of these dried tests. So like you can see, some of the ones that I might have said were negative kind of look like they might be positive here. I thought I would show you both dried and fresh, that way you guys could give an idea of what my progression typically looks like. But that is everything that I have for this video. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, I know I had no clue what I was doing with ovulation tests when I first used them years and years ago, and This is actually the last cycle that I will be using them. I really just did this month for you guys. I was trying not to pay attention to them, but I wanted to show you guys because I've been getting a lot of questions on it, and I just wanted to help somebody out in case they were curious, just starting, you know, wanted to learn more about them. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll do my best to answer them, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.